Cleetus McFarland stood inside his race truck at Michigan International Speedway ready for something no driver had ever done before. He was the Grand Marshal and the driver at the same time. He honored two NASCAR legends and fans loved it. Then they noticed something missing. One name was left out, a name that should have been first on the list. Why did Cleetus skip it? It all started on June 3rd, 2026. Michigan International Speedway made a big announcement. Cleetus McFarland, the YouTube star with millions of fans, would be the Grand Marshal for the DQS Solutions and Staffing 250. That is a truck series race.
But there was a twist.
Cleetus was not just there to watch. He was also racing in the number 4 Chevrolet for Nice Motorsports. This was only his second truck series start of the year after his debut at Daytona. Outside of the truck series, Cleetus had been busy all year. He raced in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Nashville the week before Michigan and finished 35th. Earlier in the year, he finished 32nd at Rockingham in that same series. His best results so far had come in the ARCA Menard Series. Michigan was shaping up to be his biggest spotlight moment yet. The track president was thrilled about the news. He called Cleetus a natural-born entertainer and said he was one of the biggest names in racing right now. He also pointed out that bringing a driver like Cleetus to the heart of the automotive felt like a perfect pairing for the weekend. With more than 4.75 million YouTube followers, that is hard to argue with. The plan was simple. Cleetus would fire up the crowd, give the famous command, then climb into his truck and race. Here is the thing about Grand Marshals. They are usually celebrities or special guests. They wave to the crowd, say a few words, and watch the race from a safe spot. They do not normally strap into a truck and compete in the same event. Cleetus did both. That alone got people talking before the green flag even dropped. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. From inside his truck, Cleetus shouted the command. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I just have 3 things to say. Be like Biff. Do it for Dale. And drivers, start your engines." At first, this felt like a touching tribute. Let us break down what he meant piece by piece. Be like Biff was a nod to Greg Biffle. If you do not follow NASCAR closely, here is what you need to know. Greg Biffle died on December 18, 2025. He was 55 years old. His private plane crashed near Statesville Regional Airport in North Carolina while trying to land. His wife, Christina, his daughter, Emma, and his son, Ryder, all died with him. 3 other people on board also lost their lives, making 7 deaths total. Investigators later found that cockpit instruments failed just minutes after takeoff. The altitude indicator and other key instruments on one side of the plane stopped working correctly. The pilot tried to turn back to the airport, but the plane crashed short of the runway. Biffle was not just any driver. He was named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers. He won 19 Cup Series races. He was also a champion in both the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. In his later years, he became known for using his own helicopter to help people during Hurricane Helene. After his death, RFK Racing, the team he raced for during much of his career, set up a permanent tribute to him at their museum in Concord, North Carolina, so fans could remember his legacy in person. For Cleetus to say, "Be like Biff" during a Truck Series race, the same series Biffle once dominated, made a lot of sense. It felt like the right kind of tribute. That part of the story checked out. But the next 2 words in that command were about to open up a much bigger conversation. "Do it for Dale" is a phrase most NASCAR fans know by heart. It is a callback to Dale Earnhardt, one of the biggest legends in the sport's history. Earnhardt died on February 18, 2001, during the Daytona 500, and his loss changed NASCAR forever. Fans have used this exact phrase for years to honor his memory. Hearing it again from Cleetus connected this moment to NASCAR's deep history, and on the surface, it landed well with the crowd. So, that is 2 tributes, both delivered in just a few seconds. 2 legends, 2 nods, and then straight into drivers, start your engines. That was the 3rd thing Cleetus said he had to say, which means by his own words, his list of tributes was already finished. And that is exactly where the problem begins. This was not NASCAR's first tribute to Kyle Busch this season. Just weeks earlier, at the Coca-Cola 600, NASCAR paid tribute to him in front of a massive crowd. That tribute was already fresh in the minds of fans heading into Michigan, which made the silence around his name during the command feel even louder. Just over 2 weeks before this race, on May 21st, 2026, NASCAR lost another legend. Kyle Busch died at age 41. The cause was severe pneumonia that turned into sepsis, and it happened fast. Here is what makes the timing so hard to ignore. In his final week, Busch had been racing through illness without anyone realizing how serious it was. He raced at Watkins Glen on May 10th with a bad sinus cold and radioed his team for a doctor afterward. Despite that, he went on to win a Truck Series race at Dover just days later, then finished 17th in the Cup Series All-Star race. Soon after, he was hospitalized, and within days he was gone. NASCAR's response was massive. The series called him an American badass. His own team, family, and NASCAR released a joint statement calling him a rare talent who comes along once in a generation. Richard Childress Racing temporarily retired his number 8 car until his young son Brexton is old enough to race it himself. Every car in the next Cup Series race carried a small number 8 in his memory. Now think about what Kyle Busch meant. Specifically to the Truck Series, the exact series Cleetus was racing in that day. Busch holds the all-time win record in the Truck Series with 69 career wins. Nobody else is even close. Across all 3 national NASCAR series combined, he has 234 wins, more than any driver in history. He also won 2 Cup Series championships in 2015 and 2019. And here is the detail that changed everything. This Michigan race, the DQS Solutions and Staffing 250, was the very first Truck Series race held since Kyle Busch passed away. Read that again. The series where Kyle Busch owns the all-time record book, the first race in that series after his death. And Cleetus McFarland, microphone in hand from inside his own truck, had 3
things to say.
2 were tributes. The third was the start of the race. Kyle Busch's name did not come up at all. Fans noticed within minutes. On social media, the reaction was swift and direct. One fan wrote that it sat wrong with them knowing Kyle Busch had been left out completely. Another said it felt awkward, especially in the Truck Series where his record still stands, and that this was exactly the moment to give him a nod. A third fan went further, asking if Cleetus had something against Busch since he could not recall Cleetus ever mentioning him in any of his videos before. Within days, this was not just a social media moment anymore. Major sports outlets picked up the story, too, turning a quick command at a regional Truck Series race into a national talking point about respect, timing, and what NASCAR chose to highlight during one of its most emotional seasons in years. This is where the story grew bigger than just one command. NASCAR itself started getting questions, too.
Why?
Because the entire setup was unusual from the very start.